Let's do it.
We're going to do it. We're going to fucking do it right now. Welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name is Ben. I'm here to answer your shooting questions. Also today, Matt Hopkins, you're here.
What? I was tardy last week.
Oh, you were retarded last week. All right, and Mr. Nick, what's going on?
Hey guys, ready to answer some shooting questions. Let's do this.
Are you? Well, we're not answering shooting questions. We're starting with. Well, shit. I have an ad read. I have to do. I get to do. Tim Myers wrote this ad. It's super fucked up. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Are you tired of reloading like a peasant? That's right. What you need is an autodrive. It's just as cool as having a Ferrari in your driveway, except it doesn't cost as much money. The best part about having a Mark 7 is telling your friends you've got it. All right, so if you'd like 10% off a Mark 7 autodrive, use the discount code Ben Stoeger. Go to, what is the website? Mark7reloading.com. All right. Listen carefully to this part, guys. This coupon code is good, ending the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So you won't have much time after you hear this. You're going to max out the credit card, dip into the retirement account, get your ass a Mark 7. Okay? Let's get it done, guys. You're going to love it. Hopkins, how much do you love yours?
It's the greatest thing I bought in a long time.
Is it really? And you're kind of a cheap bastard, too.
It was totally worth the money. I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Right, and you're not even getting paid to say that shit.
That's true. I paid fucking retail for mine.
All right, I can't make the same claim, but I love it just as much as you love yours. Nick, are you jealous that we have Mark 7s and you don't?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, definitely.
Well, that's even better.
I just had to buy a new 650.
Well, that's our ad read, guys. Get your goddamn Mark 7. All right, guys, shooting topic today. I got emailed. I don't read a lot of stuff on the Enos forum any longer. It's kind of boring. But there was a good thread it actually makes for an interesting topic. I'm glad it got teed up. This thread didn't make it that long on Enos. It got closed down. I'll put a copy of it in the show notes. And what it is essentially a discussion on how difficult stages should be at nationals, whatever you take that to mean. So before we even get into this thread, Nick, you've shot some nationals. Like, what is your sense of what the difficulty should be at nationals, and even how do you define that? Like, what does it mean to be difficult?
Yeah, so I mean, I think most people, of course, when they think difficulty as a hard match, I think most people are just thinking about, I guess what I would call average shot difficulty. You know, being what's the ratio of tight shots, like what's the average. Either shot distance or how tight the shot is, and I don't think that's the entire measure of what makes what I would consider a difficult match. If you're going to call the entire match difficult, to me that also would encompass a little bit more stage planning than average, and things like that as well.
All right, yeah, but I think you're right. I think on this thread they're talking about shot difficulty. When I mean, everybody sort of implicitly, it's like difficulty means shot difficulty, right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's kind of the way the discussion went. All right, Hopkins, you pretty much agree with that assessment? Like, that's what difficulty is?
Yeah, for the most part. I think shot difficulty could just be difficult on its own without anything else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what most people talk about. When we talk about, like, well, how hard is the match? It's like, well, how tough are the shots, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read you guys a post that sets the tone for it. Charlie says, well, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'll read a good bit of it. I shoot a lot of matches every year, usually 50 plus club matches and 12 to 15 major matches a year all over the U.S. Jesus Christ, dude. Take it easy. Along with this, I'm MD for the local club and host a level 2 match there each year. So I can experience and learn that side of the sport. I think I have a pretty good understanding of what the normal practical shooting skills test should be and what match consumers find fun and challenging to experience in stage design. The thing that bothers me is that I'm continually disappointed at how the stages at Nationals are consistently different in design and shooting challenge than most other matches I attend. The National stages tend to be run, stop, shoot style shooting positions with very limited strategy options on how to shoot them. There's virtually no risk versus reward type of strategy options, as everyone is basically forced to shoot the stage the same way, or the stage is such random cobbling of obstacles or contraptions that it really does not matter which way you shoot it, as everyone is forced to eat the same shit sandwich. These type of stages are not fun to shoot, as you are more worried about surviving it than anything else. This year's national stages were virtually, he's talking about limited nationals in Florida, I think. This year's national stages were virtually devoid of shooting on the move. To me, testing the skill of shooting on the move should be done to determine a national champion. But somehow that was missing, and aiming your ass off was the paramount skill tested. I guess my primary gripe is that it does not make sense to have shooting challenges at the Nationals that are abnormal to what shooters experience everywhere else. If we have to change our practice to focus on abnormally hard, over-the-top shooting challenges for the Nationals that are not seen elsewhere, then is it really a valid test to determine who the national champion will be? Should the shooting challenges at the Nationals represent the stage designs from all of the normal major matches? He's got, there's another paragraph here about how you should sort of market the match or how you cater the match to different people. I'm not going to read that because it's not really germane. So what's your reaction to that, Matt? That's an interesting idea. It cuts to the core of like, what should Nationals be? What should it look like as a match? That sort of a thing.
Yeah, I think it should be definitely harder than any other match.
So you don't really agree that it should be sort of the same as other matches?
No, I think it should be harder.
Nick, what do you think?
I think you should have a variety. I think you should make an effort to test everything.
No,
especially at a Nationals.
Forget the difficulty thing. That side of it. Should it be fundamentally the same as, like, if you take Area 8 and Area 6 and Area 7, Area 5, and all those, whatever, all the area matches, and they all, like, have a baby. That's more stages, right? So that would be Nationals. What do you think about that?
I think that'd be a fine way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem with it, for the most part. I haven't shot every area match by any means, but
neither have I.
Yeah.
Independent of that, what would you sort of think Nationals should be? Like, if you take away like all the matches having a baby, like if you just had to wing it, like what would you say it should be?
I think you got to test every skill. I think you got to determine the most well-rounded shooter, and you want to make sure that you just hit every skill sometime at least once during the match, ideally.
So you'd say it's a problem. Like if there's not shooting on the move opportunities at Nationals, that's a problem.
Well, yeah, for the most part, it's something I'd say could be added in. Our last couple production Nationals, I don't recall much shooting on the move. Maybe a couple targets here and there. Yeah, a little bit, I guess. But yeah, it's a little bit of everything. I think should be mixed in. But in terms of like predictors for what kind of match to expect, we talked about this recently. I don't know if this has even been released or not, but I don't recall ever seeing the match style kind of is based on who's designing the match, what club it's at, more so than any other factor, I think, in terms of what you're going to expect.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, I think that is out there. All of our stuff is released, but yeah, like the fact that they have it Nationals, it's like the club that has it just kind of does their thing and has more stages, and that's Nationals. Yeah.
So, just to answer his question directly, I also don't really have a problem if they make the shot difficulty, a little harder than what you see on average, because what you see on average,
it's pretty fucking easy.
Is not.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
You got a lot of section matches out there where you don't really have to make a hard shot anywhere in the match, and it's more what we consider to be a host fest.
Yeah.
And that to me is not what Nationals should be. I think you can take it too far, in the other direction too. I'm sure it's possible, but I've yet to go to a match, nationals or otherwise, where I've really personally encountered a shot that I thought was unfair. So I don't think it should be all bullseye shooting, from 50 yards, but if they want to mix that in there, great.
Yeah, but so you can make the shots hard by people choosing to make them hard, right? You can have an open target at 15 yards. We can all do that shot, no problem. But if it's in the range where people want to shoot it on the move, that makes it difficult, right?
Well, no, it'd be. I agree with what you're saying, and I think that's something that a lot of guys miss. So, one of my peeves as a shooter, one of the things I don't like, is guys would build a stage. Typically targets close, not really that interesting. If there's a mover on the stage, it's not an interesting mover. It's like popper, paper, swinger, like that kind of a thing, where you get to catch the swinger at the dwell and everybody shoots it pretty much the same. So they kind of build their normal thing, and then if it's their big match, like, oh, well, now it's a section match, so we got to make it harder. And they built the same stage, and they just put fucking no-shoots everywhere. I don't like that as a thing. And that's the same sort of thinking where it's like, well, this is a big match, so we just need to, make everything far away and put no-shoots everywhere, and then, that'll make it, an interesting nationals. As opposed to what you're talking about, Hopkins, where you get you kind of get the stuff at just the right distance where it's interesting, where it's not so, maybe on one target it's not so far, everybody's going to stop, and not so close that everybody's going to move on it, where stages become more interesting, rather than just higher shot difficulty. And there's actually a post on here by Paul Highland, of all people, and I think he hit it out of the park with this post. I'm not a big fan of difficult stages for the reason that Charlie mentioned. Personally, I prefer the stages that are simple and allow options to the competitor. A good stage design can be shot clean by just about anyone, but the challenge comes from trying to do it as fast as possible. Basically, allowing the competitor the opportunity to screw it up. Take the stage below, for example. It's from the 2014 World Shoot. It was just 9 rounds with some movement. I watched some of the best shooters in the world tackle this after trying to figure out the best way to shave a fraction of a second off their times. Some competitors made a complete mess of it by trying to shoot the steel targets on the move. Hit factors were all over the place. A 10-year-old could have shot this clean, but the pressure the shooters put on themselves caused them to make mistakes. This was an easy stage made difficult by the competitor, not the stage designer, and he put up a stage. I remember the stage from the World Shoot. It's a very interesting stage. Gaston was like all up my ass about it, talking a lot of shit, to be honest. He's like, that's my stage, bitch. That's my stage. So, I mean, it was, I think that's a great post. I mean, what the stage is that he's referencing doesn't really matter. He's making a good point about what makes stages good and interesting. And I would rather see more interesting stages where I have a lot of opportunities to do what I want, but I make it hard, rather than they just kind of put up a lot of no-shoots all over the place. I really don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to. I'm not super really fond of just describing a stage as either easy or hard, right? Like
Well, yeah, that's why that's why I started out with that. Like,
yeah, if you want to
talk about what that is.
You want to execute the stage. It's hard for you to execute every stage to the best of your ability, right?
Yes.
So what you want to do is hard.
Well,
no matter what
okay, if you
right?
have the stage be a bill drill at 7 yards.
I believe they had that at Nationals.
Yeah, they did have that at Nationals. What score won that shit? I'm getting curious. I have the results for that match pulled up.
Yeah.
Is that limited or open?
Supposedly only like 10 dudes ran a El Pres under 5 also, an open or something.
What? No way.
Yeah.
I busted out a 182 in a club match. We had that same stage at a club match here.
Really?
So I shot that stage in a club match.
Do you know what stage it was?
Stage 7 looks like the bill drill. I don't know the distance though. It was one with a 184.
6, 7, 8.
6, 7 yards.
7 was the bill drill.
Yeah.
8 was all-premise.
Honestly, this
53
seems
54 points.
So anyway, you take a stage that's technically simple, or
Yeah, but-
even just has all wide open targets, but that's still not. You can't think of it as easy, or you're gonna walk into it and be lackadaisical, and you're not gonna execute it as good as you could or should, right? So to execute at your highest level all the time is hard, no matter what you're at. So it's just a matter of what skills are being tested, and like I said, my opinion, any big match, especially nationals, should make an effort to test them all, or the vast majority of them.
I really like that. One idea that I don't agree with in the kind of the setup for this is, if you look at, should nationals reflect the sport, or should the sport reflect nationals? I would say that nationals should be like, we should make that the best, most interesting, coolest. Like, we should make that what we want the sport to be, and the rest of the sport should kind of take a cue off that. You know what I mean? Rather than
good.
kind of, you look at what guys are doing at section matches and then like, well, we're going to kind of do the same sort of a thing at nationals. I would rather see nationals sort of pushing the boundaries of not like how far you put the targets, but how interesting you make the stages or the production value of the stages. For example, I know guys are tired of us bleeding about this, but at the European Championships, I saw 6 movers, or six moving targets that I'd never seen before. Never. You know, Hopkins is working his little brain. So like the bobbing slider on the trolley, Hopkins.
Yeah, true.
The slider.
Yeah.
On the other stage.
What others?
There was a slider on, what was it, stage 4, where we had the pickup start.
Yeah, true. Okay.
And then we had the double drop turner thing on each side of the stage where most guys blew one off. I'd never double drop turner, like 2 drop turners off one popper where they had to reposition. I'd never seen a configuration like that before. Remember that we opened the door and the two targets popped up, and then one popped up again.
Yeah, true.
And then there was 2 targets on the same swinger, and then there was another double swinger where you got very little exposure. So going down the line, I'd never seen multiple types of targets. I'd never seen that before, ever. You agree, Hopkins?
See, in that exact setup, no.
Right. So
I've never seen them, but you've
so
seen
what I'm
variations of that.
Yes, what I'm talking about here then is, that's what I want to see at big matches. I want to see something I've never seen before. And you don't have to make it like one Texas star in front of the other and like no shoot plates on the front, and like it doesn't have to be crazy. It's just like interesting. That's what I'm more looking for. Like something I haven't seen, that without it being like the Michael Bay of shooting challenges, like where we just turn this shit up to 11 and like give people a lot of penalties. I don't want to really deal with that shit. But I like interesting. So that's what nationals should be. It should be interesting. It should be new. It should be pushing the boundaries.
So what exactly? And I haven't seen what movies you're talking about, but what exactly is
what does Michael
better
Bay do?
about them? No, I said movers. Like, so the movers you're talking about at the European match, is it
Well,
just
nothing. Well, no,
different timing challenge, or just a type of movement you're not used to seeing, or
it was just something I'd never seen before.
Okay, so it's just
It wasn't that it was so hard. Like there was one, for example, where there was 3 targets on a slider, which I've seen a sliding thing before, but this was 3 targets with a little bit of overlap, and they were activated from a different position than where you went and shot them from. Mm-hmm. And it was an interesting timing challenge and an interesting shooting challenge to make sure, because since the targets overlapped, it partialed them.
Yeah.
And you had to make sure not to fuck that up.
Sounds just like something we shot here, actually, that I can think of. But anyways.
Yeah, that's good. So,
yeah,
I mean, I
cool.
like... Yeah. But, like, we went to production nationals and didn't see anything like that.
Right.
That's a bummer. So I would like to see nationals be interesting and have the rest of the matches cue off of what nationals is doing rather than the other way around.
Yeah, I like to have some. Ideally, I find it interesting when you have a mentally challenging stage where you have to spend some time thinking about the best way to shoot it as well.
I think you should test everything also. Fast, slow, hard, easy.
Yeah, no, that's
strong hand, weak hand, everything.
Yes, positioning, yeah, all sorts of stuff. I agree entirely. And Mike Foley, I don't think I'm throwing him under the bus to say this, because we had a discussion about this topic and he said something that I thought was intelligent. He said every guy, you talk about all these guys around the country that put on big matches, and he's like, yep, I like anybody's kind of their flavor that they serve up, but after I get like 3 or 4 servings of it, then it's kind of the same thing. Which I thought that's a good way of putting it. Because like you were saying, Nick, it's more determined by the club you go to and the guys putting it on, because they kind of do what their thing is. And that's what they do. And you kind of know what you're going to get when you go to their range. So that's interesting for a while, but then you want to okay, let's change this up.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it depends what kind of match, you like too. And people gravitate towards the kind of matches they like during the year, I'd say. So I don't know what percentage of this is, I'm not saying that the Charlie guy's falling for this, because he sounds like he's shooting a ton of matches. But, if you have a guy that likes, say, hoser matches, and he knows which sectionals are, hosers every year, and he goes to those matches and then goes to nationals and it's not a hoser match, well, is he going to be, one of the ones complaining about this, or vice versa? I'm just picking hoser as a one attribute, but you know what I'm saying, in terms of people.
Yes, people self-select
what they
want.
You need to get out and shoot matches of different styles, different varieties, and make sure that you're as well-rounded as a shooter as you can possibly be, and that's going to serve you best at big matches that really do test everything.
Yeah, it's going to serve you the best at the most matches. Okay. Well, anyway, it's an interesting topic. Like I said, I'm going to put that in the show notes so people go have a read. I've said this before, I think it's always productive when people have conversations about this. It's pretty tough to do it without guys getting really fucking butthurt, though. But that's the way of the world. Okay. Oh, man, we got a question for Tim Herron. So I'm going to skip it because he's not here. Instead, we've got a question about logistics. It actually ties in well with today's ad read, which makes me very happy. I'm going to throw it up in the group chat here for you guys. The podcast and your books have provoked me to train more. As a result, I'm now shooting enough that ammo cost has become a limiting factor. I've been shooting remanufactured 9mm that costs 18 to 21 cents per round after shipping and handling. That's not that expensive, actually. I currently shoot about 2,500 to 3,000 rounds per year. I know, gay. It is gay. I know nothing about reloading, but when I calculate the per round price for 9mm, it seems to work out about 16 cents per round. Since you regularly talk about reloading in large volumes, wonder what your average per round price is. In your opinion, how many rounds do I need to be reloading a year to justify the investment in equipment and time? Are there any lessons learned about reloading that you wish you knew starting out? Would you advocate going full 1050 with a Mark 7? Is there some tier more appropriate to 10,000 round per year shooter? Sorry to ask a stealth gear question. Nick, you are easily the smartest guy we have.
Jeez.
I'm not saying a lot with that, but just, start us off.
So in terms of what I load for, my rounds cost about 12 cents each, I think. And, most of the cost is in the bullet. So
do you think with the 16 he's including buying brass maybe?
No, I doubt that he is. He's probably looking at buying smaller quantities of stuff. Not necessarily on sale. So just tips if you're going to get into reloading and you want to shoot for the cheapest possible. Okay, first of all, if you're 2,500 to 3,000 rounds a year is obviously not a lot. I think it seems like he's aware of that. But as you shoot more, I mean, you have to reload to play this game, period. So, if you're committed to the sport, you need to become committed to reloading, and to do that, you just need to buy the best press you can. I would buy at least a 650, and nothing less than that if you're planning on reloading volume. And then to shoot as cheap as possible, you got to buy components in huge quantities and when they go on sale. And that's how you get your cost down per round. So I wait for a bullet sale. I'll wait for like a Black Friday bullet sale, or some other bullet sale where there's a good price, and then I'm going to buy 10, 20,000 plus, and then I'm going to wait for the next big sale, and I'm going to do the same thing, and that's how I keep my cost down.
Hopkins, what do you think?
My cost per round, I think 13.1 cents or so. So, and that's with the Montana Gold. So my bullets are way more expensive than
you
the
fucking
blue bullets or
baller.
something. Yeah,
Mark 7 with a fucking Montana Gold.
So you're not paying retail for Montana Golds then?
Yeah.
How do you get it so cheap then?
Him with his bourgeois Montana Golds. Can you believe
I don't know. What was it 380 for 37.50?
Because just a single Montana Gold bullet costs more than that, I think.
It's 10 cents.
Okay, you must be shooting some mighty cheap Montana Golds, sir.
10 cents per bullet.
Is it?
Powder, I get a good deal on powder.
Okay.
And I buy primers cheap.
All right. I haven't bought Montana Golds for a while, so maybe they're. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking at switching to something cheaper just so I can shoot more.
So the bullets, like I said, the cost of your total round is going to be dominated by the bullet. So the bullet is what you have to find on sale. That's what you have to buy cheap when you can.
It's going to be 80% of the round, probably.
Yeah.
I still think, like the moly or poly coated bullets is like the cheapest product that I would fuck with. I would not touch. I don't like unjacketed lead, or like just barrel lead. I don't like that shit. But the poly coated stuff, the blue bullets or the high tech coated stuff is good.
Yeah.
Really good.
So my last order of blue bullets, I got them on sale. They were on sale and they were being delivered to a match I was shooting for free. So I got them on sale with no shipping, and I paid 7.1 cents each for 147s. I don't know what the normal retail cost is, but I do track this crap just because I'm curious about what I'm spending.
Yay!
So I can tell you exactly what I paid for basically everything in my inventory of components. But yeah, so the tips I already said, that if you're gonna be committed to the sport, you gotta be committed to reloading. That's the way it is. So
okay.
Don't go cheap on your reloading setup. Go cheap on your components when you can. That's the key.
Well, I don't track my per round cost, so that's good I don't, because it would hurt your feelings, guys. I can promise you that, because
I bet I know what it is.
So I loaded for many years on a square deal. A cheap little press. It's like $400. I had a good experience with that, and I would get that shit. I would recommend getting that shit.
It makes sense if you only load pistol because it auto indexes.
Yes, it auto indexes.
It
loads straight walled pistol cases just fine. It's cheap. There's not a lot wrong with it. I think you got to shoot, like when he's talking about 10,000 rounds a year, then I was like, okay, that's interesting to get into reloading. What you've got to be prepared for is there's going to be a learning curve to reloading. Like, you're going to fuck up rounds, and you can fuck up a lot of them in a hurry if you are if you reload a lot. So, just be aware of that there's going to be a little bit of seepage, if you will. And like, you're going to load some, and then you got to go to the range and test them. And then you go back, and then you load a bunch just like that. And you got to do some QC. There's a learning curve to it.
Yeah, you're doing that as you're learning about what you have to do to reload well.
Yeah, so if you're at the point where you're shooting a few thousand rounds a year and you've worked out the costs like that, like I would not do reloading until you are sure you're going to be shooting a lot. And the other part of it is you're probably not really going to save money, because what guys like effectively what you're going to end up doing is shooting more. You're not really going to save money.
Yeah, you're just going to shoot twice as much.
Yeah. Because behavior, that's what people do. I think the square deal's fine. I loaded on a 650 for a while. That was cool. Obviously a 1050 with a Mark 7 is fucking, that's the heat. But it's pretty tough to justify that economically, I think, for anybody. Right? Hopkins says it's because it's cool. Like, the best part about that's telling people you got it.
The time aspect also.
Yeah, but it's like it's the trophy wife of reloading presses.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's expensive though.
Yeah,
Trophy wives are, I think.
Well, I reloaded on my Dillon 650. That cost nothing because it was a hand-me-down for, I think, 7 years. So that cost the Mark 7 and 1050 over 10 more years will equal out, Not equal out, but
over 10 years.
Sense.
Oh my god! I mean, that's a long time for
something. Let me
something
add up
to
how
pay
long it
off.
would take in the 7 to pay off for me.
10
Jesus
years?
Christ!
How long you plan on doing this?
What, me or the guy asking the question?
Whoever.
Well, there's probably a difference. I'm a complete lunatic about this, so I don't have the expectation that other guys are that into it.
It'd probably take me almost 2 full years just for a Mark 7 1057 to pay for itself.
That's 2 years. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
Nick, your
nothing.
thinking's too short term. You need to get a Mark 7. And just think about it. It's going to be 10% less now if you buy now.
Yeah, it'd be 1 year and 11 months. Good job.
It's not bad. That's about $300 off. It's not nothing.
That's not nothing.
That's cool.
Think about all the components you can buy for $300. All right. Well, that does it for this question. I don't think we're going to do another one, are we, guys? Not another question. Well, anyways, shooter peoples, if you have a question you'd like the answer to, go to bensteger.com. Email me. It's bensteger@gmail.com. Email me your shooting questions. We're going to answer them. We're going to talk about them. Hopkins is going to shit on you personally. It's going to be amazing. Right? That was a good close, right, guys?
I didn't do it yet today, did I?
Well, quick, call the guy who just sent in a question an asshole. He left a little postscript here that he doesn't like you.
Oh, did he? Cool.
Yep, he did. He's like, I don't like that Hopkins guy.
All right.
No, he didn't do that. Man, that's fucking lame, Hopkins.